Welcome back to Computer Science Principles. This is Unit 1, Digital Information, Lesson 7. We're on Week 2, Black and White Images. So, for warm-up, again in your journal entry, you've recently done some online shopping, you're about to receive a package in a month, you have a tracking system on that package. How often would you like to know its location? Every day, every week, every hour? And maybe it's a combination depending on how close it is to that month. But again, go ahead, write that into your journal entry, pause this. All right, so again, and explain. Don't be ready. Go ahead and explain it too. So make sure it's explained in this, since there's no in-person thing to do it. So write it in your journal entry. You'll turn that in. All right, so our activity is going to be this black and white pixelization widget. Now there's a few things that I want you to take note of as we go through this process. It may or may not be on the video, but we're going to go into it because when we did letters, right, it was just, hey, we agreed on 8 bits and then this number equals this letter, right? That was it. However, there's another level to pictures, right? And I want to pay attention to that as well. So doing black and white is going to be pretty easy because you just do black is 1 and 0 is white, however you want to do that. But there's another aspect that you can't just start doing 1 0 1 0 1 0 and expect to create a picture.
My name's Lydia Choi. I work for Oculus as a technical art director, and I'm currently working on virtual reality hardware.
And like a baseball cap, so it's kind of like this motion. Okay.
And then you flip down the current thing that we're building is a virtual reality sculpting tool, trying to simulate like clay sculpting in space. Welcome to the pixelation widget, where you will encode a black and white image by typing out the binary yourself. Don't worry, it's easier and more fun than you might think. In this widget, the first 2 bytes, 16 bits of data, are used to define the width and height of the image you want to encode.
All right, so hopefully you caught that. That is one major aspect of this, right? When we did text, we didn't need to prepend it with anything, right? We didn't need to start off saying anything. But what she just said is you need to tell it its width and its height. And this is something to do with protocols, right? If it was height and width, then this would, that would make a difference. You need to agree on that. We're always going to send pictures. We're always the first 8 bits are going to be the width, and then the next are going to be the height. Now in this, I believe we'll be able to just like change these to fix it for us. Don't have to do a whole bunch of binary, but that's an important concept to understand as we go through this. And this happens a lot, especially when you get into networking stuff. You have all this information at the beginning before you even get to what you need, that there's a protocol built in for that.
The first 8 bits define the width and the second 8 bits the height. You have to type out all the bits, but the widget shows you the decimal translation so you can make sure you're typing the numbers you want. To make it easier to keep track of where you're typing, you can add spaces and line breaks to the binary code. The widget doesn't pay attention to them. It just interprets the bits that are there. And now it's easier for me to see which bits I need to change to set the width and height I want. I'm going to make a very small image that's just 4 pixels by 4 pixels. Now the fun part. After we've set the width and height of the image, the next bits we type are the bits that define how the pixels are colored. We're just working in black and white for now, so keep it simple, 1 bit per pixel. In digital images, we define color in terms of light, and we can turn the lights behind each pixel on or off. So we let a 1 mean turn the light on, which gives us white. A 0 means turn the light off, which gives us black. Did you notice that I added line breaks when I was typing so that I could keep track of the row I was working on? That's a handy trick, and we actually have buttons that will help you with that. If you click the raw format button, it will strip out all the spaces and line breaks so you can see what the raw binary code looks like. The Readable Format button will reinsert spaces and line breaks to make it easier to read and edit. If you screw up your spacing or get lost in the bits, you can always hit Format and it will clean things up for you. Let's look at an example of a bigger black and white image. If you click Actual Size, it will show you what your image looks like when using the real pixels on your computer. For images here, it's probably going to be pretty small.
What's also pretty nice about this is you can kind of, if you look at this, you can see this. There's the C, there's the O, there's the lines. So that's kind of nice about how they have this typed out. Now, I think it's even easier if they don't have all these spaces. So if you just set this up right, you don't click raw and then readable format, and we'll practice this in a little bit, but you can kind of see the picture in this if you have it set up correctly.
Lastly, you can save the wonderful image you've made by clicking Save PNG. This will take the current state of your canvas, whether you're zoomed in or showing actual size, and pop into a new window. You can drag the image from there to your computer or save it in some other way.
All right, so you can save it if you want. You might make something cool as we go through this. So what we're going to do is in a split second, I'm going to go ahead and jump over and do this, but you're going to go through these levels. So I'm going to show you how to start this. You're going to do levels 3 and 4, and then I'm going to go over 5 and 6, and then 7 is going to be a challenge. So we're gonna kind of go over there real quick and look at how to use this. And again, going through right now, this very first one we got to play around with, we're just trying to make the letter A. You can set the width. I'm just going to show you how to use this. So I'm going to do it 7 by 6 for now. And then it's going to, notice this is the one to play around with. It doesn't have all the settings. But as you go through those, remember there's different ways to write this. So you just go in there. And you write out what you want it to be, right? So and it just, once you get to the end, you click enter, and then you can just keep going with what you want. And I always do this backwards. All right, so you can just keep on going through each of these lines, click enter, and then go across. All right, since this is one thing to think about, and eventually we'll get into the concept of resolution, but this is a really bad resolution, so this probably looks more like a heart than a Batman symbol, but as you can see, again, you can kind of see it in this symbol, and then if you do the raw format thing, you can also spread it out a little bit too, so whatever is viewable. That's why I said there's different ways to do this, but once you do this, you can't get it back to the way you had it. So once you click raw and readable, it's going to put those spaces in. You have to delete them all if you want to, and you can save them. But that's all you need to do. And if you change this, you can break it, especially this one, right? This just completely makes it look weird. So you can make some pretty interesting things by having this go a different way. The other one, not so much. It just kind of moves a row. All right, so I'm going to let you do 3 and 4. Go ahead and pause that and then come back. All right, so hopefully you're done with 3 and 4. 5 and 6. I need to explain this because it's going to go over this concept of why we asked you, when do you want to know your updates? Because, if you get an update every second, that's probably way too much. You don't want to know that your package is going bing, it's still in a route. Bing, it's still in a route. Bing, it's still in a route. Bing, it just got to Texas. Bing, it's still in Texas. Bing, it's still in Texas. That'd be ridiculous, right? So with this challenge, I want you to see that this is what they call sampling, right? You're taking a sample of this. So this is a sampling every, I don't know, the piece of paper is probably like ½ an inch. Every ½ an inch. Now, I want you to pay attention very closely to this. Notice this drawing does not take up a whole square. This drawing is not possible. They are using this to help you work with this. All right, so if you were to do this, this would be white, possibly this would be white. Basically what you're going to do, if it's mostly black, you make it all black. So white, probably white, black, black, probably white, black, probably white, white, black, white, black, maybe black, but probably white, black, black, white, black. And so you're basically, and this is what's called sampling. You're sampling, you're looking at this, okay, it's mostly white, mostly black. So you're taking a sample of it, and then you're going to see what that looks like. So that's going to be interesting. Then you come down here, and you're going to need to figure out how to do this. And this is where you actually have to figure out the total bytes needed, blah, 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 and then how long it took to build. So this is another concept with sampling. All right, like click, 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 click. Whereas this one's, you're like, there's a lot more that you need to do. But you're going to look at how good does it look when you're all done with that. So this is 5 and 6. You're going to use this, and you're actually going to turn this in. So this is an activity that you're going to need to turn in. You'll find it in your LMS. There's a link in Canvas. But basically, how many total bits were needed. And again, remember, you have to do the height and width. So there's already starting off with 16. And then how many bits? And that's how much space it's going to take up. And then, how much does it resemble the original one? How much does this one resemble it on 7, you're going to try to do the same concept with your favorite logo. Make it look like that. Make it look like that. Using that. So basically, these are sampling concepts, right? Can they recognize it here? And you saw me with my Batman logo, which is essentially this resolution. It almost looked like a heart. Could get a better one with that one. You can get a really good looking Batman logo with that one. So I want you to find a logo and try to do this concept with it. And I believe that's still part of the worksheet. So 5, 6, and 7 are all part of the worksheet. So go ahead, pause now, or just watch the rest of the video and come back and do this. Either way, that's all part of the video, because we're going to wrap up real quick with that concept. What were the pros and cons of sampling more frequently? All right, so this is not super frequently. The other one was more frequently. What are the pros and cons of doing that? And essentially, hopefully, so if you did this correctly, that little sampling is going to look something like that. Whereas, same concept. You're going to take with a song, right? This works with with sound as well. So I'm going to take this. I'm going to take this spot, and I'm just going to take this spot. I'm going to take this spot. I'm going to take this spot, and then all this gets this. All of it gets that spot. So you're just taking a sample of the song. How good is the song going to sound like that? It's probably like dee 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 dee, right? Whereas this gets a little bit more smooth and better. So the concept of sampling is important with this, right? These are really low sampling intervals, but as you went through the process, hopefully you saw what it looks like to do better sampling. So with that, don't forget all your journal entries. Don't forget to do the actual, go ahead and do all of these. These should be 3 through 7, and do realize that the worksheet goes with a couple of them. So with that, have a good night. We'll see you next lesson.